The masculine edge women can't resist. Listen, let's clear something up right now. Being the perfect gentleman is not what makes women's hearts race. In fact, it often does the opposite. You know the type, the guy who never raises his voice, never disagrees, always pays, always compliments, always bends over backwards. He thinks he's being irresistible. He thinks women will say, wow, he's such a good man, I need to be with him. But here's the brutal truth. Women don't fall for perfection, they fall for presence. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying being kind, respectful, or considerate is unattractive. Of course those things matter, but when kindness comes packaged with weakness, when respect comes across as submission, that's when attraction dies. And most men don't see this. They think the more they give, the more women will feel something back. But what they don't realize is that attraction doesn't operate like a vending machine. You can't insert enough good deeds and expect romance to drop out. Here's the problem with the perfect gentleman act. It's predictable, it's safe. And safe doesn't trigger deep desire. Think about your favorite movie. Is it the one where nothing goes wrong, where everything is peaceful, where every character gets along? No, that movie would put you to sleep. The movies we love have conflict, tension, unpredictability. The same goes for relationships. A man who's always agreeable, always available, always perfect, is basically a lullaby. Nice, soothing, but nothing to crave. I'll give you an example. I had a friend who prided himself on being the ultimate gentleman. He ironed his dates' napkins at restaurants, yes, literally. He texted back within 10 seconds, never challenged a single opinion, and practically built a shrine out of compliments. And you know what? He never kept a girlfriend longer than a few months. Why? Because being flawless was boring. Women didn't feel that spark, they didn't feel that edge. Meanwhile, the guy who wasn't perfect, the one who sometimes teased them, who had his own life, who wasn't afraid to say no, that's the guy who stayed in their head at night. That's the guy who created emotional intensity. You see, the masculine edge isn't about perfection, it's about presence. Presence is when you look a woman in the eye and she feels you're there. When you speak your truth, even if she disagrees. When you hold your ground with calm confidence instead of folding like paper the second there's tension. Here's the secret. Women don't want a flawless man, they want a real man. One with edges, one with depth, one who can both protect and provoke. Because perfection doesn't feel alive. Presence does. And it's presence, not perfection, that makes women lean in and think, there's something different about him. Let me tell you something most men never realize. Women don't fall for the loudest man in the room. They don't crave the guy who's constantly trying to prove himself with fancy cars, expensive dinners, or endless bragging. What makes a woman lean in, what makes her feel safe and yet intrigued, is something far more subtle, unshakable calm. Think about it, life throws chaos at us every single day. Stress at work, family drama, unexpected setbacks. Most men crumble under pressure. They complain, lash out, or try to fix things frantically. But the man with calm, real calm, is like a rock in the middle of a storm. He doesn't get rattled. He doesn't rush. He moves slow, deliberate, grounded, and women feel that energy instantly. Here's the psychology. Calm equals control, and control equals safety. When a man is calm, it signals strength, not just physical strength, but inner strength. It tells her, no matter what happens, I won't break, and that is magnetic. I remember watching this play out once at a party. Two guys were vying for the same girl's attention. The first guy was all over the place, laughing too loud, telling exaggerated stories, trying way too hard. You could practically smell the desperation. The second guy, quiet, leaning against the wall, sipping his drink, observing. He spoke when he wanted to, not when he felt he had to fill silence. And when he did speak, everyone turned to listen. Guess who she walked out with that night? The calm one. Because calm is rare, calm is confident. Calm tells a woman, I don't need to prove anything, I know who I am. Here's the trick though, calm doesn't mean cold. It doesn't mean emotionless. It means your emotions don't control you. You can feel anger, but you don't explode. You can feel nervous, but you don't let it shake your presence. You can feel attraction, but you don't trip over yourself to show it. You hold it, you own it, and that makes it 10 times more powerful. Think of it like fire. A wildfire burns out of control, dangerous, destructive, chaotic, but a fire in a fireplace. Contained, controlled, still powerful, still warm but directed. That's the masculine calm women can't resist. Most men think attraction is built by doing more compliments, more texts, more gestures. But the edge comes from doing less, from slowing down, from breathing, from not letting chaos pull you off center. Because here's the truth, if you can't handle life's storms, how can she trust you to handle hers? A woman will forgive mistakes, she will forgive flaws, but what she will never forgive or be attracted to is a man who collapses under pressure. The man who freaks out at the smallest problem, who can't stand still when things get uncomfortable. That's the opposite of strength. The masculine edge begins with unshakable calm, the ability to look at a storm and smile, the ability to stay rooted when everyone else is panicking, the ability to let her feel, deep in her bones, if I'm with him, I'm safe. And that more than money, more than looks, more than words, is a power women can't resist. Let's break down a truth most men never grasp. Attraction isn't logical, it's magnetic. And what creates that magnetism isn't looks, money, or smooth words, it's polarity. Think of a magnet, positive and negative, masculine and feminine. They're opposite forces, but that's why they pull toward each other. Remove that polarity, make both ends the same, and suddenly the magnet repels instead of attracts. The same law applies to human connection. Masculine energy is direction, it's purpose, it's structure. It's the drive that says, I'm going here, follow me if you want to come. Feminine energy, on the other hand, is flow. It's creativity, it's intuition, it's emotion. It's the ability to feel the world in a way men often can't. When a man fully embodies his masculine edge, he becomes the container, strong, steady, certain, that allows the feminine to fully express itself, soft, radiant, alive. And when these two energies meet, sparks fly. That's the dance, that's the polarity. The problem is, too many men today collapse their masculinity in fear of being too much. They dim their edge, become passive, over-accommodating, and try to blend into her flow instead of standing firm in their direction. At first, it feels like harmony, but soon she feels the polarity fading. Without that tension, the attraction dies. Picture this: a river without its banks is just a flood, spreading everywhere with no form, no direction. But a river with strong banks, it surges forward, powerful, alive, unstoppable. Masculine energy is the banks, feminine energy is the water. When you understand this, you see why women test men, not because they want to destroy them, but because they want to feel, are his banks strong enough to hold my waters? Here's the kicker: polarity isn't about dominance. It's not about controlling or suppressing, it's about complementing. When a man lives his purpose, holds his ground, and leads with certainty, he creates space for her to relax, to feel safe, to glow in her feminine. And she'll love him for it, even if she never says it out loud. Ever wonder why women often say, I just want a man who knows what he wants? That's polarity speaking. Direction inspires trust. Certainty creates surrender. She doesn't want you to control her. She wants to feel safe enough with your strength to let go of control. And here's the truth most men miss. Polarity isn't just in romance, it's in every interaction. The way you walk into a room, the way you shake hands, the way you make decisions. Masculine energy is about standing firm in who you are, regardless of how the world shifts around you. When a woman meets a man who has mastered polarity, she feels it instantly. He doesn't need to chase. He doesn't need to convince. His presence alone pulls her in. She feels the dance of her feminine awakening in response to his masculine edge. And that, my friend, is a force stronger than any pickup line. Polarity is not about pretending. It's about embodying the truth. Masculine leads, feminine flows. When you live from that truth, attraction isn't something you chase. It's something you naturally create. Here's a truth most men don't want to admit. Emotions are not weakness, but the inability to handle emotions, that's weakness, and women can sense it instantly. See, men are often taught two lies. 1, real men don't feel. 2, if you feel, you must dump everything out. Both are wrong. The masculine edge isn't about ignoring emotions or drowning in them, it's about mastering them. It's about knowing what you feel, owning it, and expressing it with strength. Think about it: a man who suppresses everything becomes rigid, cold, disconnected. She can't feel him. On the other hand, a man who spills his emotions without control feels needy, unstable, and unsafe. Neither extreme is attractive. True masculine mastery is the middle path. You feel deeply, but you don't let your emotions run wild. You're vulnerable, but not chaotic. You open up, but you do it with clarity and strength. That balance is what makes women lean closer instead of pulling away. Let me give you an example. Imagine a man loses his job. One guy collapses, panics, yells, complains about how unfair life is. His woman feels the weight of his instability and secretly wonders if she now has to be the strong one. The polarity flips, attraction fades. Now imagine another man in the same situation. He feels the sting. He admits, yeah, this hurts, I'm frustrated. But then he breathes, gathers himself, and says, I'll figure this out, it won't break me. That's emotional mastery. He doesn't deny the pain, but he doesn't drown in it either. And she feels both his vulnerability and his strength. That combination is irresistible. Why? Because vulnerability without direction feels weak, but vulnerability with grounded strength feels courageous. It tells her, this man is real, he feels, but he doesn't lose himself in the storm. Women test this constantly. When she pushes your buttons, when she throws attitude, when she cries or lashes out, she's not trying to destroy you. She's unconsciously asking, can you handle my emotions without losing control of yours? Fail and you look weak. Pass and she feels safe to open even deeper. Here's the key: your emotions are fuel. Anger, when mastered, becomes clarity. Fear, when acknowledged, becomes courage. Sadness, when embraced, becomes depth. And joy, when shared, becomes contagious. The man who knows how to use his emotions without being ruled by them becomes magnetic, powerful, unforgettable. The masculine edge isn't about being unfeeling, it's about being unshaken. It's about holding your center, no matter what emotion shows up. When a woman sees you can cry without crumbling, laugh without losing focus, get angry without exploding, she knows this man has depth and he's strong enough to carry it. And here's the ultimate secret. When you master your emotions, you master hers too. Not by controlling her, but by leading with calm, grounded energy that guides her storm into safety. That's when you stop being just another man in her life and become the anchor she can't let go of. Let me tell you something powerful. Women notice a man long before he opens his mouth. Not because of what he wears, not because of his looks, but because of his presence. Presence is the invisible force that fills a room the moment you step in. It's how you carry yourself, how you breathe, how you take up space without trying too hard. Most men chase attention with noise. The man with presence, he doesn't chase, he attracts. Think of great leaders. They don't need to shout to be heard. They speak slowly, deliberately, and people lean in. They walk into a room and you feel them, even if they haven't said a word yet. That's presence. And it's one of the sharpest edges of true masculinity. Here's the psychology. Presence signals confidence, and confidence signals safety and strength. When a man radiates presence, he tells the world without words, I know who I am, I don't need validation, I don't need to prove myself, I am enough. And that, my friend, is magnetic. But here's the twist. Presence isn't just posture or body language, it's focus. Most men are half present, scrolling on their phones, distracted by worries, thinking about what to say next instead of listening. And women feel that disconnect instantly. The man who is truly present, who locks eyes, who listens deeply, who breathes and stays grounded, that man becomes unforgettable. Let's paint a picture. Imagine you're on a date. The waiter messes up the order. Most men get flustered, crack nervous jokes or complain, but the man with presence, he stays calm, smiles and handles it with ease. He looks at her, not the waiter, not his phone, not the room, her. And in that moment, she feels like the only woman in the world. That's presence. Or picture this, you're speaking in a group. Instead of rushing your words, you pause. You let silence sit. You let people feel your energy before you speak. Suddenly, your words carry weight. People listen not because you shouted, but because your energy demanded attention. That's the art of presence. Women are drawn to it because presence creates depth. It tells her, if I'm with this man, I will be seen, I will be heard, I will be felt. And that is something most men can't give her. So how do you build it? Start with stillness. Breathe deeper, move slower, speak less but with intention. Eliminate nervous habits. When you're with someone, be with them, not a million other distractions. Own your space without shrinking and without forcing. Because here's the truth, presence is not about doing more, it's about being more. When you cultivate presence, you don't just stand out. You draw her in, almost effortlessly. She'll feel your energy before she even realizes why she can't stop thinking about you. Presence is the edge that separates boys from men, noise from power, forgettable from irresistible. Master it, and you'll never have to beg for attention again. It will come to you. Here's a hard truth. Women don't respect men who let themselves be walked over. Attraction dies the moment a man becomes spineless, always saying yes, always bending, always tolerating behavior that violates his values. Why? Because boundaries are strength, and strength is respect. See, most men confuse kindness with weakness. They think being nice means sacrificing their needs, tolerating disrespect, and letting her dictate everything. But here's the paradox. The nicer you are without boundaries, the less she respects you. And when respect disappears, attraction follows. Boundaries aren't walls. They're not about shutting people out. They're about defining what you will and will not allow in your life. They are the lines that protect your self-respect, your time, your energy, your purpose. Think of it like a fortress. Without walls, anyone can walk in, take what they want and leave you drained. But with strong walls, gates and guards, your kingdom stays secure. A man with boundaries is like that fortress. Open when he chooses, closed when he must, but always in control. Women test boundaries constantly, not out of malice, but out of instinct. She wants to feel, can this man stand firm, even when pushed? If you fold at the first sign of pressure, she'll feel the weakness. But if you hold steady, calmly but firmly, she feels your strength, and that earns both her respect and attraction. Here's an example. She's late for a date, no explanation. You could shrug it off, act like it doesn't matter, and secretly feel resentment. Or you could calmly say, I value my time. If you can't respect it, this won't work. That boundary doesn't push her away, it makes her step up. Because you're showing her that your time, your values, and your life have weight. Boundaries also apply beyond women. Friends, family, co-workers. If you let everyone drain you, you have nothing left to give. But when you stand tall and protect your energy, people treat you differently. They respect you more because you respect yourself. And here's the secret. Boundaries are attractive not because they make you harsh, but because they show you're a man with standards. Standards are magnetic. Standards say, I don't just take whatever I can get, I choose what aligns with me. And women crave that kind of man, a man who doesn't bend to every whim, but who stands firm like a mountain. Remember, boundaries don't have to be loud, angry, or aggressive. The strongest boundary is calm and certain, not defensive, not reactive, just firm. That's the kind of strength that commands respect without even raising your voice. When you master boundaries, you stop chasing validation. You stop begging for approval. You stop being afraid of losing people, because you realize your value isn't negotiable. And the moment she feels that, that's when she knows she's dealing with a man she can't manipulate, a man she can't control, a man she can't resist. There's one thing more attractive than good looks, more powerful than money, and more intoxicating than smooth words: purpose. A man on his mission radiates a different kind of energy. He's not lost, he's not drifting, he knows where he's going, and that direction is magnetic. Women feel it immediately. When she meets a man with no mission, she may be entertained for a while, but deep down she knows something is missing. He becomes clingy, dependent, always looking for her to fill the emptiness in his life. That kind of man leans on her energy instead of standing in his own, and it suffocates attraction. But a man with purpose, he doesn't need her to complete him, he is already complete. His mission fuels him, guides him, and keeps him alive. And because of that, he doesn't chase, he attracts. Think of the great men in history. Warriors, inventors, leaders, visionaries. Their magnetism didn't come from chasing women, it came from chasing their calling. And women were drawn to that fire, that unstoppable drive. Because here's the truth. Women want to feel your love, but they also want to feel your purpose. They want to know that even if they left tomorrow, your mission would still burn. Here's the paradox. The more you prioritize your mission, the more attractive you become. The less you chase validation, the more it comes to you. When a woman feels that your life has direction, she relaxes into her feminine. She doesn't have to lead, you do. She doesn't have to carry you, you carry yourself. And don't get it twisted. Purpose doesn't have to mean becoming famous, building empires, or chasing billions. Your mission might be creating art, leading a family, building a business, or mastering a craft. The details don't matter. What matters is that it's yours, that you wake up with fire in your gut, ready to push forward. Without purpose, a man drifts. He becomes reactive, easily swayed, needy for approval. With purpose, he becomes centered, decisive, unstoppable, and women crave that steadiness. They feel safe in the presence of a man whose compass never wavers. Here's the test. If you had no women in your life, would your mission still drive you? If the answer is no, then you're not living your purpose. You're living for validation, and that's a trap. The masculine edge sharpens when your mission comes first, not in a way that neglects love, but in a way that fuels it. Because when you live with purpose, you inspire her, you ignite her, you give her something to respect, something to admire, something to believe in. Remember this, women aren't looking for a man to orbit around them. They're looking for a man they can orbit with, a man whose gravity pulls them into something bigger than themselves. And that gravity is your purpose. A man without purpose is forgettable. A man with purpose is unforgettable, and that's the edge she can't resist. Let me tell you something men forget too often. Certainty kills attraction. When she knows exactly what you'll say, exactly how you'll act, exactly where the relationship is going, her emotions flatline. Predictability is comfort, yes, but comfort is not passion. Mystery, on the other hand, is electric. It's the fuel of romance novels, the spark behind obsession, the invisible pull that keeps her up at night thinking about you. And it's not about playing childish games, it's about cultivating an edge of unpredictability, of depth, of curiosity. Think about it. Why do women gossip endlessly about the guy who's hard to read? Why do they analyze his texts, wonder about his past, and try to figure him out? Because uncertainty drives desire. The moment she can't fully pin you down, her emotions stay alive. She leans in closer, she invests more energy, and she feels more. Now, don't confuse mystery with secrecy. Secrecy is hiding. Mystery is revealing yourself slowly, like chapters in a book she can't put down. Secrecy creates suspicion. Mystery creates fascination. Here's the trap most men fall into. They lay all their cards on the table too soon. They pour out their life story, their feelings, their intentions in the first week. They give her the entire book on the first date. And what happens? She reads it once and moves on. No intrigue, no layers, no what's next. The masculine edge thrives on restraint, on packing. on letting her discover you over time. You don't have to share every detail about your past, your fears, or your plans immediately. You let those truths unfold naturally, leaving her eager for the next revelation. And here's the beauty of mystery. It's not about faking. It's about being so deep and multidimensional that she realizes she'll never fully unravel you, that there will always be another layer, another passion, another strength she didn't know existed. Mystery also comes from your actions. Instead of always being available, sometimes you're busy. Instead of sending paragraphs, you send a few words that spark curiosity. Instead of explaining everything, you let her wonder. That space keeps her hooked. But the biggest part of mystery, it comes from having a life beyond her, a world she gets to enter, not one she completely controls. If she sees that you have passions, friends, goals, and pursuits that don't revolve around her, you instantly become more compelling. She realizes there are parts of you she may never fully own, and that makes her want you more. Remember this, women don't fall for men they fully understand. They fall for men who make them feel, and nothing amplifies feelings like mystery. So don't be the man she figures out in a week. Be the man she spends years uncovering. The man who always keeps her guessing, not because you're manipulative, but because you're ever-evolving. The masculine edge she can't resist. It's knowing she'll never quite solve you, and she wouldn't want to. Here's a truth most men never realize. A man who can't control his emotions will never hold a woman's respect. You can have the looks, you can have the money, you can have the charm, but if your emotions swing like a broken gate in the wind, she'll feel it, and attraction will evaporate. Why? Because emotional control equals strength, and strength equals safety. Women are biologically wired to seek out men who stay grounded when the storm hits. If she senses that you're easily rattled, overly reactive, or constantly losing control, she'll see you as unstable, no matter how impressive you look on the outside. Hear what most men do wrong. She tests him with a sharp comment, and he blows up. She withdraws affection, and he panics. She cries, and he shuts down. Every one of those reactions screams weakness. It shows you don't control yourself. You let her and the situation control you. And that's the opposite of attraction. But when you remain calm, when you stay steady while she's emotional, that's when she feels your edge. That's when she knows she's with a man, not a boy. Understand this, women will test you. Not because they're cruel, but because subconsciously, they need to know if you can handle them. Can you stay grounded when she's irrational? Can you remain calm when she's fiery? Can you be the rock when she feels like waves crashing on the shore? If the answer is yes, she surrenders, because she knows she can finally relax into her feminine. She doesn't need to be in control, because you are. But don't mistake emotional control for emotional coldness. This isn't about shutting down your feelings or pretending you're a robot. It's about mastery. It's about being able to feel anger but not lash out, to feel fear but not crumble, to feel love but not lose yourself. When you master your emotions, you master attraction. Because here's the hidden truth. Women don't just want your attention, your affection, or your words, they want your energy. And if your energy is chaotic, unstable, all over the place, she can't trust it. But if your energy is calm, steady, unshakable, she'll be drawn in like gravity. Think of emotional control like fire. Without control, fire burns everything down. With mastery, fire gives warmth, power, and life. A man without emotional control is destructive. A man with it is irresistible. So the next time she tests you, don't flinch. The next time life throws chaos at you, don't collapse. The next time emotions surge, don't let them own you. Own them. Because the masculine edge she can't resist isn't in being perfect, flawless, or emotionless. It's in being unshakable. A man whose power isn't just in his body or his mind, but in his control over himself. That's not just attraction, that's dominance, that's respect, that's the edge. There's a paradox in attraction that most men never grasp. The less you need a woman, the more she needs you. Sounds backwards, right? But it's the truth, because neediness is repulsive, detachment is magnetic. Let's break it down. When a man revolves his entire world around a woman, checking his phone every 5 minutes for her text, cancelling his plans just to be available, shaping his entire personality around what he thinks she wants, he communicates one thing: you are my source of value. And here's the brutal truth: if she feels like your happiness depends on her, she'll start to suffocate. She'll pull back, she'll lose attraction. Why? Because women aren't drawn to men who cling, they're drawn to men who stand. Now flip it, a man who is detached, a man who wants her but doesn't need her, sends a completely different signal. I am complete with or without you. That energy, that's intoxicating. It's not coldness, it's confidence. It's freedom, it's choice. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you play games. It means you aren't controlled by the outcome. Whether she stays, whether she leaves, whether she texts or ghosts, you remain unmoved. Your mission, your purpose, your self-respect remain untouched. And here's the kicker: detachment creates space. Space for her to lean in, space for her to chase, space for her to feel desire instead of obligation. Because when you're not suffocating her with attention, she starts to crave yours. When you're not begging for validation, she begins to seek your approval. Think of it like fire and oxygen. Fire needs oxygen to burn, but if you smother it with too much air, it dies. The right balance keeps the flame alive. Detachment is that balance. Here's an example. A man who is detached won't argue endlessly to prove his worth. He won't beg for her attention. He won't spiral if she's moody. Instead, he stays centered. He keeps moving forward, and she feels that she has to meet his standard, not the other way around. That's why detachment is the ultimate power move. Because when you need nothing, you can walk away at any moment. And the man who can walk away is the man she'll chase the hardest. It's not about arrogance. It's about self-respect. It's about knowing that your life, your value, your mission don't depend on her presence. You choose her, but you don't cling to her. That choice, that freedom, that quiet confidence, that's the edge she can't resist. Because every woman secretly wants a man who could live without her, but chooses not to. Neediness makes you invisible. Detachment makes you unforgettable. Attraction isn't random. It's not luck. It's not even about looks or money. At its core, attraction is about polarity, the magnetic force between masculine and feminine energy. Here's the truth: when a man stands fully in his masculine, he pulls a woman deeper into her feminine. And when she's deeply in her feminine, she draws him even stronger into his masculine. It's a feedback loop, a natural charge that creates undeniable chemistry. So what is masculine energy? It's direction, it's presence, it's decisiveness. It's the ability to lead, to take responsibility, to move forward with clarity. Masculine energy is steady, unshaken, unyielding. And what is feminine energy? It's flow, it's emotion, it's creativity. It's the ability to nurture, to feel, to express beauty. Feminine energy is wild, ever-changing, mysterious, and deeply magnetic. Here, where most men go wrong, they try to meet a woman's feminine energy with more feminine energy. They soften too much. They try to out-emote her, out-nurture her, or worse, they collapse into indecision, waiting for her to lead. And when that happens, the polarity dies, the spark vanishes. She may still love him, but she won't desire him. Now flip it: when a man embodies his masculine edge, clear in his vision, calm in his presence, unafraid to take the lead, she feels it. Instantly. She doesn't have to think about it because it's biological. It pulls her in, awakens her softness, and makes her crave the dance of polarity. Think about a magnet. Positive and negative charges pull toward each other, but if both poles are the same, they repel. Masculine and feminine energy works the exact same way. Here's an example. A feminine woman might say, "I don't know what I feel like eating tonight." A weak man responds with, "Me neither, what do you want?" Endless loop, no spark. But a man in his masculine says, "I've got it, let's go here, you'll love it." Decision made, polarity created, desire sparked. Women crave the masculine edge not because they want to be controlled, but because it frees them. When she can trust your direction, she can fully relax into her feminine. When she feels your strength, she can surrender to her softness. And that's when attraction ignites like wildfire. That's when she feels safe, desired, alive. That's when she looks at you with the kind of hunger most men never experience. This is the edge most men never learn. The courage to fully embrace your masculinity, not water it down. To stand tall, lead boldly, and create the polarity that keeps the fire burning for years, not just weeks. Because here's the ultimate truth. When you embody the masculine, she doesn't just want you, she needs you. Not in a desperate way, but in the deepest, most instinctual way. And that, brother, is the masculine edge women can't resist. So here's the truth, brother. Through every statement, every lesson, every edge we've uncovered, it all comes down to this. Women don't fall for the man who tries the hardest to impress them. They fall for the man who owns himself. Your masculine edge isn't about arrogance. It's not about dominating or controlling. It's about presence, clarity, and strength. It's about being grounded in who you are so deeply that she feels your energy before you even speak. The edge is knowing when to lead and when to listen. Holding your purpose above everything else. Protecting your self-respect no matter what. Giving her the safety to relax into her feminine while you stand firm in your masculine. That balance, that polarity, that unwavering center, that's what makes you unforgettable. That's why she craves you, why she respects you, why she can't resist you. And here's the best part. You don't have to become someone else to embody this edge. You already have it inside you. The edge isn't learned, it's uncovered. It's remembering who you were before the world told you to shrink, before you were trained to play small, before you forgot your power. So here's my challenge to you. Step back into it. Start today, stand taller, speak with intention, hold eye contact a little longer, say what you mean and mean what you say, stop begging for permission, stop apologizing for existing. Because the moment you stop chasing approval, the moment you stop doubting your worth, the moment you embody the masculine edge, you won't have to chase women at all. They'll feel it, they'll see it, and they won't be able to resist it. This is your reminder, you are the prize. You are the man, you are the edge. If this spoke to you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with a brother who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below and tell me which edge hit you the hardest. I read every one. Stay sharp, stay focused, and remember, your masculine edge isn't just what attracts women, it's what makes you unstoppable.